Now, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but based on Dana White's facial expression, if I know him well enough, he's got some really good news that he can't wait to tell us. So take it away, Dana White. What you got to tell us, buddy?
Jon Jones called us last night and retired.
Yeah! It's done! It's over! We knew for an entire year about this being a reality, but no. Finally, after a year's time, Dana White has said what we already knew. Jon Jones is retiring. He will not be fighting Tom Aspinall. He will be calling it quits and ending his career, walking away from the Undisputed Heavyweight World Championship and handing it over to Tom Aspinall, his interim heavyweight champion. I called this a year ago. We've known this was going to happen for so long, and we finally have closure. We finally have closure on this, and we can finally move on. So let me at least move on with the rest of Dana White's announcement.
Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Don't sound too happy, mate. I mean, Dana, calm yourself down. You seem over the moon about this information. Big Tom, undisputed world heavyweight champion. Just like that. And hey, remember what Tom Aspinall said? I'm going to retire Jon Jones without even fighting him. He said that nearly a year ago today. Tom Aspinall said those words. And never have words aged better in the MMA world than Tom Aspinall saying that about Jon Jones. In fact, I think I have the clip of Tom Aspinall saying it about Jon Jones, and I'm going to play it right now. I'm going to play a lot of clips for you, actually. But let's just play this one from Tom Aspinall real quick.
About it. Let's be honest. And since I won that fight, he's gone completely quiet. And he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires, because there's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
The one part Tom Aspinall was wrong about was saying that Jon Jones won't talk about him until he retires. Now, Jon Jones tried desperately not to. In fact, Jon Jones has stormed out of interviews because they're asking him about Tom Aspinall, but he just couldn't stop it. We wanted to hear about Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones because we wanted to see Jon Jones get flatlined by Tom Aspinall, but no. Jon Jones has called it quits. He would rather leave the sport altogether than take on Tom Aspinall in his next matchup. Cinema. You can't have scripted it any better than this. Well, actually, you could have, because we could have had the fight and Jones could have got flatlined by Tom. But either way. And listen, man, I'm holding Dana White accountable here. Because I'm gonna play you another clip from Dana White just a couple of days ago. Just a couple of days ago. Now, first of all, I'm going to go to the start of this clip. And we're going to get this ready. I want this to be very, very well done, guys, okay? I'm making sure this is a very, very well-refined back-to-back shot that you're about to hear, okay? I'm going to play two clips back-to-back, and you guys are going to have a little listen to them, okay? So this is Dana White, no joke, a week ago. Just over a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago now. This is Dana White, okay? Have a little listen to what he's got to say.
You said Jon has agreed to fight with Tom.
To clarify, you said that Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Jon agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said...
Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes.
So but he hasn't signed a contract or anything?
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen.
The title away from him.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired.
What? But Dana, you just told us this fight's going to happen. You've been telling us for a year that this fight's going to happen. You went on an entire media tour glazing Jon Jones beyond belief, telling us that this fight was going to happen. And that Jon Jones isn't the guy that turns down matchups. You told us that for a year of a circus media tour that you were on, where you just glazed Jon Jones non-stop. You told us that for a year. And he just gave you the call tonight and told you he's not fighting Tom. I don't fucking believe you for a second. This has been known for a long time. And like there's not even an argument that this was for the platform deal. This is why I'm so annoyed about this. If this was announced or not announced after they made the platform deal and maybe signed with Netflix, and then they said they're not going to do Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones, I would understand why we made the heavyweight division non-existent for 2 straight fucking years. Maybe then I would understand, okay, for the greater good of the business, for the more billions, for the more hundreds of millions, for the more eyes on the sport, maybe we freeze this thing for 2 years. Even then I would disagree with it. But no. We froze that heavyweight division for 2 years for fucking nothing, Dana. While you sat up there for a past year yapping about how Jon Jones was going to fight Tom Aspinall. And guess what? Guess who said otherwise? We said otherwise. Because we can tell when someone ain't going to fucking fight someone. Simple as that. And every press conference, Dana White sat up here and said, Jon Jones will fight anybody. Jon Jones is taking this fight, you guys. And I even mentioned in this clip that Dana White messed up and shouldn't have said that Jon Jones accepted the fight or agreed to the fight. I made a whole video about this not that long ago on the channel, about a week ago on the channel, talking about how Dana overspoke. And he shouldn't have said that Jon agreed to the fight. And he actually regretted saying it. And you can actually probably see that in this clip of him here.
Jon has agreed to fight with Tom.
To clarify, you said that Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Jon agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said...
The guy didn't, he shouldn't have said that. And he knows he shouldn't have, because that locked him in so close to when he knew the inevitable phone call was going to come. One thing I want to mention as well. Okay, we're going to go through some things. Tom Aspinall has officially mogged Jon Jones out of the sport. That needs to be noted in the history books of MMA, that Tom Aspinall has mogged Jon Jones out of the sport. Absolutely insane. This was the moment Jon Jones retired. When he met a real English heavyweight, dude. And I'm talking about me. I'm talking about Big Tom, okay? This one's got hands. This one can fight, and his name's Big Tom Aspinall. This was the moment Jon Jones retired. When he looked up at Tom and said, wait, you're supposed to be 5'10" and not be able to grapple. Sorry, dude. This is a well-rounded, big fighter that can finish you at any moment. About time you started scarpering, mate. Just like you took 3 years off when Ngannou was next up at heavyweight and then magically came out of nowhere to fight Cyril Gane because he has no one-punch power. And just like you were magically disappearing all the time when Rumble was next up to fight you. Or magically disappearing out of certain training camps when DC was against you at one point. Of course, he ended up fighting DC, and in one of the occasions ended up testing positive for PEDs. But this has been Jones's move. Jon Jones is miraculously and conveniently nowhere to be seen from and just doesn't have that itch when his most dangerous test is upon him. Every other UFC champion, or most, have faced their big test, have faced their big challenge of someone who should have beaten them, or someone who had a really good chance of doing it based on the style matchup. But Jon Jones, OSP, Smith, 5 rounds, Santos split decision, loses to Dominic Reyes, gets gifted a decision against him that's a robbery, sits out for 3 years, fights Cyril Gane on 4 weeks' notice, then fights Stipe long after that, when Stipe's an old, rusty old man, and then Tom Aspinall's next. Young, well-rounded, powerful, fast, and bigger than Jon, and he don't want anything to do with it. Absolute fact. But we have more to go through. Tom's saying he'll retire him without even fighting him. We knew about that. But this is a funny thing, because this just don't go back to last week when Dana White was saying this was going to happen. I knew, and I made a video when Dana White was saying this very thing in December 14th, 2024. I made a video saying, no, you're wrong. Jones ain't fighting Tom. I've never felt so justified before. I'm going to play these clips back to back again.
Jon Jones behind the scene is not a guy that turns down fights.
Would you guarantee 100% we see that fight?
Yeah, I'll say 100%. Jon Jones called us last night and retired.
Yes! You idiot! You bald idiot! You ruined heavyweight for 2 years. For nothing! For nothing you ruined it. Or a year and a half. Nearly 2 years. Whatever you want to say, you ruined it for nothing. To let Jones get a nice little fairy tale, easy-going end of his career and sail... There's one guy who don't deserve to sail off into the sunset. It's Jon Jones. Honestly. It's just insane that we've had to go through this. And I don't know what I'm going to do without this. I actually don't know what I'm going to do without saying that Jon Jones isn't going to fight Tom Aspinall and he's going to retire. Because I've been doing this for so long now. It's become a part of the channel. Where once every 2 weeks, there's going to be a video talking about Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, and how it's never going to happen. And trying to convince everyone that this fight's never going to happen. And we finally have closure. And it hurts. I liked bullying Jon Jones. I did. And listen, I mean, we have to stop. You know? I can keep going. You know, I can keep... I mean, I'm sure Jon Jones might show up at a LFA event. And maybe I can poke fun of him there. And, you know. This isn't the end. We still get to bully him, right? I'm sure we still get to bully him. Right, guys? We still get to bully Jon Jones for being gay every week, right? I haven't got any other content. I haven't got any other content at all, so we're going to need to keep doing that. There's no one else here. Tom Aspinall. What a guy. For you fans, it's time to get this heavyweight division going. An active, undisputed champion. Hey, whoa, hey. Big Tom, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I guess this means Cyril Gane's next. Either way, now if Gane wins, now listen, I'm going to have to find something on Cyril Gane. I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to have to find a way. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but listen, I got in Adesanya's head before the Strickland fight. We try and find our way into the sport sometimes, you know, and with this Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall thing, I think we well and truly have. But, I'm going to have to use mental warfare on Cyril Gane. I don't know. I can't have him beat Tom. And he won't. He won't, guys. Guys, Cyril Gane's not going to beat Tom after all this. You know what I'm saying? He's just not. Not going to happen, guys. Now, I know that he threw the fight intentionally against Jones. I'm guessing I'm playing a character and I'm joking. I know he'd literally just let him guillotine him. Most sorry performance in UFC history. Weird that. It's all good. The guy who just took Anthony Smith 5 rounds just waltzed in and subbed Gane in a minute. All good. But yeah, Tom Aspinall's here. He's going to be fighting Cyril Gane. I bet anything they're going to give him Cyril Gane. It should be a Volkov rematch. Volkov beat Gane in their rematch. So this is bullshit. And just more of a reason why I'm going to pick Tom to win. The more I watch the other heavyweights, and I just did this with Blades versus Kuniev. The more I watch the other heavyweights, the more you realize how much of a different level Tom Aspinall's on. The more you watch Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin and Curtis Blades versus, you know, Ramzan Kuniev and Rizvan Kuniev, sorry. And, you know, even as much as other fights that are going on in division with a Cyril Gane versus, you know, Sergey Spivak fight and all of these other matchups that go down, Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Sergey Spivak. You end up watching him and thinking, damn, Tom's just never going to lose in this division, right? Now, he could end up doing so. And I'm worried because that's what Jon Jones is now hoping for. Jon Jones is going to sit at home and watch Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane just like he watched Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades 2. And he's going to pray and hope that Tom Aspinall loses. But Tom's not going to lose. We haven't came all this way for Tom to just fucking lose. We ain't been doing all this work with Rico Verhoeven, the undefeated glory heavyweight kickboxing king for the past decade. We ain't been doing all this work with him just to lose. We ain't been grappling with the great one and only Phil DeFries just to lose to some Cyril Gane. I mean, we're talking elite of the elite training here. Okay, Phil DeFries. I feel like he might be on his own decade-long KSW undefeated run in the heavyweight division. But listen, I don't want to get into all of the legends of this entire combat world. There's no way Tom Aspinall is going to lose. Tom, if you lose to Cyril Gane, I'll terminate the channel. I couldn't deal with it. That would just be too funny. Yeah. That would be incredibly funny if you did that. If you just went out there and got chinned. Imagine you just get head kicked by Gane. It won't happen. He'll beat Cyril Gane. He'll probably beat him slightly less easily than Jones did, because it don't get easier than how Jones beat him. You know, Gane couldn't have possibly made that fucking easier. You know? So it don't get easier than how Jones beat him. But Aspinall's going to win. And we will return to order in the heavyweight division. And Tom Aspinall shall be the heavyweight champion. But there's more I've got to discuss. Which I completely forgot about in the middle of this fucking video. Because there's other moments with Dana White talking. Okay? And he's talking about Ngannou coming back at 9:58. And he even mentioned something at the end of this video as well that I'm going to get into. Let it play.
Francis says he changed his mind and he would consider coming back to the UFC. Would you be open to having Francis back?
He would consider coming back to UFC if what? One thing I've learned over the years about
So he's asked about Francis coming back to the UFC, and his answer is very interesting.
Consider coming back to UFC if what? One thing I've learned over the years about Francis doesn't always mean what he says publicly. What he says behind the scenes are different than what he says publicly.
John agreed to fight Tom, yes.
But he hasn't signed a contract or anything.
Right. Yeah.
That's
I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen.
I'll say 100%. Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones.
So, Dana, let's not get on to Francis about saying things publicly and meaning something else because there's a real situation behind closed doors. Let's not talk about Francis Ngannou saying things different publicly than he does backstage and in private. Because you've been lying for a year fucking straight on behalf of Jon Jones. Or should I say a year bent over Jon Jones. Okay? Ain't nothing straight about that situation. So don't start yapping about Ngannou lying in public. I'll do it because I'm not a hypocrite like Dana. But Dana's been capping. Dana's been lying for a year on behalf of Jon Jones.
I'm not a big fan. I would be shocked if Francis ever came back here on lots of different levels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't always mean what he says publicly.
Jesus Christ, Dana White, not a fan of Francis. I mean, you'd think he beat his wife or something. Either way, but he did do something to motorbike stuff. Either way, we've got more to discuss. Because at the very end of this, Dana said something that pissed me off more than anything else in this entire discussion. 2004. Why? And first of all, I'm going to get into the whole consensus breakdown of this at the end. But we're going to let this play.
Just back to the Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones situation. Do you somewhat regret the time that you gave Jon Jones to make his final decision, that it took so long and the whole division?
Do I regret the time that I gave him? Yes. Listen, if you look at what he's accomplished in the sport, no. It is.
No regrets from Dana White. You look at what he's done in the sport. I mean, UFC 200, fucked. Ruined. Look at what Jon Jones has done, you guys. UFC 200, fucking ruined. Mark Hunt lawsuit, all because of him against the UFC. Antitrust lawsuit. All because of Jon Jones. And if you look what he did to UFC 232, ruined the entire event. Had to move the entire arena. Costed us millions. And if you look at what he did in the Daniel Cormier rematch, ruined the whole fucking thing. You look at what he's done in the heavyweight division, ruined it for 2 fucking years. You look at what he did after he lost to Reyes, disappeared for 3 fucking years. Ruined the whole sport then as well. You know how Jon Jones goes, dude. And he says there's no regrets because of what Jon Jones has done in the sport. Record failed drug tests. He's done a lot in the sport. I tell you that much. But Dana White is saying this while also saying, I don't regret giving Jones the time. So you were giving Jones the time while very obviously he was never going to fucking accept this fight. We know now for sure, and I'm going to let the rest of this play first.
That's what it is. I obviously feel bad for Tom that he lost all that time and obviously money. But, yeah, we'll make it up to him. Tom Aspinall's a good guy. He's been incredible through this whole process that we've gone through. He's been willing to do anything, fight him anywhere at any time and do this, and now he's like, I'll fight anybody. You tell me who and I'll fight him. So Aspinall's been great. He's going to be a great heavyweight champion for us, and I'm excited to work with him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't fucking look like it, mate. I'll tell you that much. Don't look like it at all, does he, guys? Doesn't look ecstatic and overwhelmed to work with Tom Aspinall as UFC heavyweight champion. But either way, at least they'll make it up to Tom. With what? What you should have been doing the entire time. Obviously, it sucks for Tom to lose years of his career and millions in the process, but I don't regret what we did. I don't regret humiliating the company for 2 years. You've humiliated the company for 2 years. And we all knew what the end result was going to be long before you did, by the sounds of things. What the actual fuck is going on with the company? Now, in summary, I want this to be known. Jon Jones, some say he's the GOAT of the sport. His official retirement from the UFC happened at a UFC Fight Night Baku, Azerbaijan post-fight press conference. Not because Dana White came in with a special thing to read out about it, because a media member happened to ask him about it 9 minutes into his post-fight interview. He then gave an 8-second answer. That was Jon Jones's retirement. Ha ha ha. Nice retirement, loser. Okay? See you later, dude. And second of all, what was second of all? That's right. So Dana White says, when he first announces that Jon Jones is retired here, I want you to listen to the words because we can have some fun matching up chronologically some of the events that may have happened.
Vision take the title away from him.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired.
He called us last night and retired. Now, I don't know when it was posted, but this could have been. Who knows? Maybe it was a day off. Maybe Dana's lying about when Jon Jones told them this. Maybe it's just a made-up phone call. I really like to imagine. Now I'm going to imagine this. And this is how I will have reality be. I decide how reality is and how this all went down. And in my opinion, kid, let me tell you, kid. In my opinion, humble opinion, Jon Jones was drunk with the Nelk boys, was asked about Tom Aspinall, stormed out of the interview in a strop, while drunk and emotional, went home, and that night, while drunk and while angry about walking out of the Nelk Boys podcast, that night drunkenly gave Dana White a call saying, I'm not fucking fighting Tom. So you guys are going to have to fucking deal with that or else. That's how I choose that this happened. That's the official narrative. He was drunk. He got back from Thailand. Not a ladyboy in sight. Gets drunk to ease the pain of none of them being around. Meets up with the Nelk boys. They're asking him about Tom Aspinall. He has a tantrum about that as well. Not only do I leave the ladyboys, but now this. Now asking about Tom. And he storms off drunk, rings Dana and Hunter Campbell and says, I'm not fucking doing it. That's how I choose to believe that this went down. And that's how I will believe that this went down until the end of time. Tom, please don't lose to Cyril Gane. I'll cry. I'll cry on stream. But we won. We won and we knew this from the start. And all this time was wasted for nothing. If the fight got made in the end, I'd look like an idiot for the past year of content I've been doing on this. But if you do the borderline, and this just goes to show you in the sport, Dana White said this, and if you don't hear it from me, It's bullshit. He always says that at these press conferences. Leave it to the right ones to do surface level research on some of these situations and put together certain clips, and you will come to a very logical conclusion about a lot of things that go on in this sport. And one of them was, a year ago from now, Jon Jones is a fucking duck. He's a gay duck. And he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. And he's scared to fight Tom Aspinall. And he won't fight Tom Aspinall. And all of the evidence came forward. They offered him the 30 million because he asked, I'll fight him for 30 million. Give me this much money to fight him. And I went on a whole thing about he's pricing himself out. They're not going to offer him that. They offered him it. They offered him the bluff. Think about that. Jon Jones. He would, if Pereira would have beat Ankalaev, he would have happily fought Pereira next. Absolutely, Jones would have stuck around for a Pereira fight because he knows that there's a path to victory there. But with this Tom Aspinall thing, he asked for a bluff. Just give me 30 million. Stop calling me. And the UFC went, sure, we'll give you that. We'll do this fight for 30 mil. And Jones went, wait, what? They called his bluff on the deal and he still said no. It wasn't about money, wasn't about legacy, wasn't about the itch or the passion or anything along these lines that he might have lost touch with or anything like that. The guy saw someone he would have lost to. And that he knows he would have lost to. Because Stipe was putting hands on him in round 2. And that's a fact. See you later. Goodbye. We win again. Undefeated against the UFC. Let's get Tom on some card versus Cyril Gane. And let's move on with the division. Do Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Volkov. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. And we're going to have to figure out something when it comes to a new contender. Because I honestly, if Waldo Cortez or Costa somehow beat Sergey Pavlovich, I don't think he's got it in the bag against Tom. So we're going to have to see how it goes. See you later, guys. Goodbye. And Gane got dropped by Tuivasa. Ugh, heavyweight is so shit, but we'll recover with activity and first round 1 minute long KOs from Big Tom. That's what's going to happen. See you later, guys. Goodbye.